Is there anything more frustrating than needing a very specific tool to finish a fix or a project only to discover that you can't get it in time? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to share with you my top 28-ish 3D printed tools, as well as tips for printing them, what they're used for, and why I love them so much. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Next Layer, the channel that is 100% dedicated to scratching your itch for making new stuff using 3D printing. In my recent video on 50 plus useful things that you didn't know you could 3D print, I asked you all to comment if you'd like to see a follow-up video all about 3D printed tools, and the response was overwhelming. I love getting feedback and audience participation, and so to make good on my promise and maybe encourage you all to keep sending me requests for videos in the comments below, here it is, my top 28-ish 3D printed tools. Oh, and stick around to the end because I definitely saved the best for last on this one. Let's start out with these unassuming little guys because they have a really cool story and they actually beautifully articulate why 3D printing is so cool and so unique for creating tools. These are called bench dogs, and where I live, I don't have a lot of space to do work and projects, so I have this great folding table from Stanley FatMax. The only problem is this folding table and most tables like it that you would use for work on wood or other projects are made in America, and therefore they have imperial measurements. I live in Israel. Nothing has imperial measurements, and so I had no way of finding these bench dogs. I tried to find them online and they were like $30 or $40 for a few pieces of plastic plus shipping from abroad. For a while I used different pipes or dowels and just jammed them in there, but then I got a 3D printer and now I can run off as many of them as I want and they fit perfectly. Here's another tool you never knew you needed. It is called a speed square or a carpenter square. I originally discovered this because I just needed a perfect 90-degree angle for being able to draw straight lines and get perfectly square cuts of wood. But then I discovered a speed square, and it turns out this has way more uses than just that. Now, check out YouTube on this because there are tutorials and I only know about half of the features, but you can see here, and I'll do some B-shots, you can see that this helps you mark different angles on the wood besides just 90 degrees. If you wanted to get a 45-degree angle, you can do that. If you wanted to get various different angles, but one of my favorite ways to use it is actually for marking out pieces of wood. For example, if I want a 4-centimeter strip, I can use this, punch right into 4 centimeters here, and then use that flat edge to just draw across the piece with a sharper pencil than this and get a 4-centimeter marking. These are really, really cool. You can print them in PETG because you will knock them off the table. But again, make sure that your stringing settings are very, very dialed in and that your PETG is dry so that you can clearly read the markings on the speed square. Here's one that's absolutely essential if you, like me, are a Gridfinity acolyte and love to keep your screws super organized. You know how when you finish a project, you have all these loose screws kicking around and some that you didn't use? Well, this tool basically lets you measure exactly what diameter they are and what length they are incredibly quickly so that you can put them back in their rightful place right away. Now, this tool is cool and all, but there's actually a new and improved version that I have not yet printed out, which will also measure the nuts and bolts for you and also your washers all in one panel. So check that out. It might be a better print than this one. By the way, it probably goes without saying, but changing the color of the filament right way through the print at the appropriate layer is something you can do in your slicer, and you definitely should do so that you can actually read the lettering on this thing. This is another one that you need to print with 2 different colors of filament, but which you will find endless uses for given how small it is. It's a surprisingly useful print, and it is called a fillet gauge. Now, I didn't know what a fillet was besides something that you put on the barbecue, but it turns out that a fillet is a rounded corner. And if you want to design things for the stuff around you in your life, such as a phone case, or try to create a bracket for your keyboard or mouse or anything else that has a rounded corner in your life, you are going to need to know what the radius of that fillet is. And this tool does exactly that in seconds. And if you do enough designing in your day-to-day life, you can actually download a keychain version of this, which is much smaller. And even the one that I have has a keychain hole. Helps you from losing your keys, but also comes in handy anytime you want to design something that has rounded corners, which is pretty much everything around us. All right, let me now bring you guys into the tool shed, where I have designed a whole menagerie of different tools and tool holders that come in use every single day, including but not limited to these battery holders for my Makita drills. These are really, really great. I printed them off, I think, in just basic PLA. I have spots for charged batteries and batteries that are not charged. I actually even managed to find a holder for my Makita Charger, which allows me to mount the charger here, and I printed a nice little cable wrap. But what's cool about this is I can pop the charger off at any time. If I want to take it mobile, it pops right out, pops back in, and I have my Makita Charger mounted right to my toolbox. Now I'm sure you're wondering, Jonathan, all your batteries are mounted on your toolbox, so where are you storing the actual tools? Well, right up here. I actually used to store them in the toolbox and waste space. I'm now in the process of converting those shelves to Gridfinity because I have mounted all of the Makita tools, or nearly all of them, right on the roof. These were actually a flat bottom design that was meant to be screwed into a wall, but I simply modified them to hook onto the holes and the ridges of my aero shed. You could use the original version and just mount them onto a wall if you'd like. I printed these ones out in ASA filament because it has superior heat resistance, and the roof of this shed gets incredibly, incredibly hot. Hot enough to soften pretty much any other plastics except for ASA or maybe nylon. Now, if you're not a Makita fanboy or fangirl like I am, don't worry. I have seen similar tools and options like this for DeWalt, Milwaukee, Stanley, and all the other brands. If you have a modular system, you can probably find many different options for adapters and battery holders and grips and all of that for whatever tools you choose to use. These corner guides are just one example of different guides that you could build, and these are just for drawing out your corners. But you can also, if you happen to have a router, come up with routing bits that guide your router as well, and I've done that just as well. Let's talk about clamps for a second. There are a lot of different 3D printed clamps out there. You've probably seen, if you've ever looked at Prusa's website where they sell their PETG, their Prusament clamp. This is a really cool print that they give as an example of the cool stuff that you can do with PETG. It prints in 3 pieces and snaps together. You might think that this would be useless, but it's actually very strong. Really, really cool tool, really nice for gluing together your 3D prints and having just the perfect amount of softness. I also love that they're plastic, so they're not going to scratch the things that you're gluing together. And by the way, for those of you who, like me, create content, there is a remixed version of these that is so cool, which has cold shoe adapters, so you can mount all of your various different videography stuff using one of these clamps. Here's a pretty cool one. I used to always wonder how carpenters drill those clean holes to join a piece of wood without using angle brackets. Well, it turns out there's a tool called a corner hole jig, and there are entire kits that you can buy that are adjustable. But if you need one in a pinch, you can just print one and then take the clamp that we printed, clamp it in, and drill your holes. Another similar tool that you can print for angled holes is this hole guide or drill hole guide. I printed it in PETG, and you can see my PETG needed a little drying, but it allows you to print direct 90-degree holes exactly, or 45-degree holes if you need some 45-degree holes. If you bought a 3D printer with a carbon glass bed, you probably got one of these. And then if, like me, you upgraded to a powder-coated steel sheet or PEI coated sheet, you quickly realized that this is not something you want to put into contact with that sheet. Ask me how I know. Fortunately, this is something you can solve with 3D printing, and you can 3D print your own scraper. PETG is notorious for sticking too well to the bed and actually taking a piece of the bed off, and this tool can help you by using this chamfered edge to get right up in there and being soft enough to actually not damage the print or the bed. Over time, the edge is going to wear away, and for that reason, I actually am probably going to reprint this in PLA. Here's a pretty cool one. You know how your drill bits, especially your concrete drill bits, always get dull? I discovered this really cool print on Thingiverse that allows you to resharpen your bits. And I've since found a better version, but I will demonstrate the old one and I will link the better version in the comments. All you have to do, assuming you have these wonderful Dremel diamond-headed metal cutting bits, is slide it onto the top. It screws on to pretty much any Dremel, including this fakey one I ordered on AliExpress. Screws right on there. You can then adjust the angle that you want to grind at, put your bit back on, your cutting wheel back on, and simply slide the bit right in. All right, now out into the garden where I have 3D printed all kinds of cool stuff that I've just been too impatient to go find in a store. One of those such things is a hand shovel. And you would probably think that a hand shovel made of plastic would be really lousy, but this one's actually really good. First off, it has a beautiful sharp edge, which I've kept sharp by printing it in PLA, which means I don't keep it out in the sun. It's printed in 2 pieces, so I can tear it apart to store it if I want to save space in my, as you now know, overcrowded shed. And honestly, it works really well. I love it. I love how long it is. It's got a nice little hole. And if you need a shovel in a pinch like I did, and you're too lazy to go out and buy one, well, go ahead and print it. If you have holes in your life that you want measuring for to know what kind of drill bit you need, then you should definitely check out this very quick print. It is a hole measuring tool, and it will tell you the exact diameter of any hole you stick it in. So for those of us who don't yet have the wonderful E3D Revo nozzle system, hint E3D, anything we can do to make that process easier and take steps out of it is better. I found that it was really frustrating for me to need to lift the entire hot end all the way up to change the nozzle, and fortunately I found this little guy. It's a super short adapter for the socket that allows me to only lift the nozzle a little bit and then simply twist it out and bring it out. It's still kind of a pain in the butt to change nozzles, but now using this, I find it's a lot faster and easier than waiting for the Z-axis to go all the way up and all the way down every time I want to change the nozzle. Oh, here's one other one that I printed but actually lost somewhere. A sanding setup, or a handle sander. I don't know the name of this tool. But basically it holds your sandpaper, and what's cool about 3D printing them is you can 3D print them in any size that you want. They're really fast to print and assemble, and then you don't have to hold the sandpaper and risk burning your hands or just tiring out your fingers. So recently we are in the process of potty training my little boy, and so I decided to build him this custom-made, beautiful bamboo stepping stool, which even slides in, which I did using my router. and is made of this gorgeous reclaimed bamboo that I put so much effort into maintaining the nice, clean, beautiful surface. Only one problem. I vastly overestimated how accurate I could be with the drill and ended up drilling right through it in not one, but 2 places. But there's actually a solution for this, and it is called a drill stopper, which limits how deep you can go with the drill. For the sake of durability, you probably want to print these in PETG, which is less likely to break with the flexing that this entails. But because it has so much retraction going on, you're definitely going to want to dial in your settings. And also, unlike me, you're going to want to dry your PETG filament before you print these out. And your drill bit is fixed in place. You probably also should do a random seam so that the seams and weak points aren't all on one part of the print. Now here's one that I actually debated including because I've had a lot of difficulty with it. It's a bit holder for your drill, and I have tried printing this out in ASA, ABS, PLA, PETG, and even TPU, and I still haven't found a model that works well enough that I don't break it after time. But I haven't given up because I love this idea, and Makita does provide, and all these drill manufacturers do provide bit holders. So I know there's a way to do it that it doesn't break, and I'm gonna try another model, and let me know in the comments below if you find a model that works well, because this is such a useful thing, and I'm in the process of printing one with magnets in it, which is even better than the original drill bit holder, because who wants to walk around with only the bits that you can fit in the drill itself? I'm gonna be completely honest and admit that I did not know that a glue spreader was a thing until I watched yet another video, I feel like I mention him in just about every video, by Alexander Chappell, who used a glue spreader to make sure that he had perfect distribution of the glue on the piece that he was working on. Turns out that there are different densities of glue spreaders for different projects, so print as many of these as you want and use it to distribute your glue as well as you would like. Hose fittings and vacuum adapters really could be a category all their own. I've printed out specialized adapters for drilling into walls so I don't muck up my Dyson and can use it with my shop vac. But the really cool print and killer app here was printing an adapter to match my shop vac to the Makita size hose, which is not the same size, and printing it with an angle bracket. Just make sure that you print this one in PETG because, well, things tend to get real hot in the tool shed or in the sun, and yeah, this one melted. Up next, we're gonna get a little bit meta because this is actually a 3D printed tool to aid your 3D printing workflow. For those of you who've never seen one of these things, it is called a deburring tool, and it is basically a tool for cleaning up your 3D prints more easily and getting rid of all the little nastiness on there. Of course, you can buy these tools on AliExpress or Amazon, and there are nicer ones, such as metal ones, but I use the plastic cheapy ones because I like to have them everywhere. And at some point, I realized that I can just 3D print them just as easily and then just buy the replacement nub knife cutter thingies. And they honestly turn out just as good. And frankly, I like my orange one a lot more than I like this plastic one. By the way, that's a whole other video that I could do, is just all the various different tools and tricks I use for improving my 3D printing workflow. There are a lot of tools I didn't know I needed when I started out. Let me know in the comments below if you all are interested in me doing a tools for 3D printing video. And if enough of you are interested, I will definitely do it. This soldering jig is another cool one to hold your pieces of wire at various different gauges while you solder them. But I did actually, in the process of making this video, find an even better specimen for actually soldering together those LED strips. This Lazy Susan is a really, really cool design, and it was a lot of fun to print and assemble, but it is not fully 3D printed. In fact, you need to have some bearings and screws and stuff. And that's actually a really, really good idea for another video that I've been meaning to do. See, when I started 3D printing, I had no idea how many different accessories, bolts, nuts, bearings. Let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in seeing a video where I just give you a list of all the things that I recommend you order on AliExpress or Amazon to just have in case you need them in future 3D printing projects. Things that are really, really good to just have on hand for your future 3D printing projects. It also meant I had to move some filament off of another spool so that I could empty out the Prusament spool. And I don't know about you, but I hate ending up with little bobs and bits. So I wanted to merge that onto another spool. So what I ended up doing was downloading and printing this awesome Filament Welder, which allowed me to put that same filament on another spool that I had of it, so I didn't have another couple meters kicking around. So there you have it, my top 28-ish 3D printed tools. Please remember, this is a very, very new channel, so every like, subscribe, and comment really helps. In fact, fully 97.2% of you are not yet subscribed, and while I'm the last person to brag about subscribers and all that kind of stuff, it does impact how much time I can devote to this channel and also how seriously companies will take me when I offer to review their new products on the channel. So with all that said and out of the way, if you want to see more 3D printing content like this from me, then make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon as well. That's all. Thanks for watching and happy 3D printing.